A handful of Notre Dame football players are going to enter the NCAA transfer portal when it officially opens up. And we're going to be talking about some of those names and more with Blue and Gold's Eric Hansen. Folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to this YouTube channel for more content. You can go to blueandgold.com for so much more coverage on your Fighting Irish. Eric, I wanted to go ahead and pull this up. We are recording this video right after news broke about Carson Hobbs entering the transfer portal, played in 16 games for the Irish, and will have 2 years of eligibility remaining. So you've had a few defensive backs enter the portal. Ben Minnick, and all these are expected, by the way. The portal officially opens on January 2nd. Ben Minnick, Jadon Blair, couple
Chance
guys
Tucker.
Chance Tucker, Tabron Benny Powell. That's 4 DBs, well, 5, including Hobbs. Running back Jabron Payne, quarterback Anthony Rizak, of course, quarterback Kenny Minchie. Was the first one, and then we even had kicker Marcelo Diomede. We'll talk about that position just a little bit. But Eric, I think of the names so far, none have been surprises. Blair is the one that I think is a surprise to most. I think for me and you, maybe more of a mild surprise. Especially if you kind of read the tea leaves on Twitter, it seemed like his camp was not happy about his freshman season, but still, anytime you leave after your freshman season, it's going to be a minor surprise. So, yeah, thoughts on these guys, entering the portal next week?
Yeah, I think from their standpoint, it's great that they feel like they can find a place where they can play regularly. For Blair, I think he was a little impatient. I think he had the talent to play. And yet when you look at the safety room, you kind of say, when is that going to happen? With, seemingly both starters coming back. You have Luke Talich. Ethan Long was ahead of Jadon Blair as far as the freshman. And then you have really good safeties coming in the door. So there was not a guaranteed path to playing time for Jadon Blair. So I could see why he would consider that. I think the only, I don't want to say concern, but the one place that Notre Dame has to think is, do you have, even with all this great talent coming in at both corner and safety, do you have enough bodies to cover you if there are multiple injuries in the secondary? And maybe they want to get a portal player that could be a nickel safety guy or a nickel corner guy, just not as a starter necessarily, but as a backup, some depth.
In terms of the quarterbacks, Eric, Minchie, we would expect Rizak. I was told that he's going to get an opportunity to start at the FCS level. And then Jabron Payne, I could have seen him come back, honestly, but it wasn't a surprise. He was such a solid, short yardage back in 2023. Gets injured for 2024 and was buried on the depth chart for 2025. Like could have been a guy's like, all right, is he going to maybe emerge now that Love and Price are out? But obviously that's not going to be the case.
Yeah, I mean, you have to feel like Aeneas Williams has an inside track there. And then they love Nolan James Jr. Kedron Young is expected to come back from his injury at 5'11", 240. He gives you a different body type, and you know how good those two freshmen are walking in the door. So it didn't look real promising that Jabron Payne could earn especially with Jaywan Sider being the running backs coach. And it's nothing against Sider. I think Delon McCullough was much more cognizant about, let's have a really deep rotation. And Jaywan Sider is, we're going to play who's going to give us the best chance to win, and we're not going to deviate from that.
Sure. All right, moving on, Eric. Let's talk about some special teams news. We got this Christmas Day update. Jasper Scafie, apologize if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. Notre Dame going back into Australia for a punter, and this young man worked with the same punting trainer that James Rundell worked with. And Eric, I'm actually just pulling up my phone to confirm that I read this correct. I'm talking with the source, but he's not walking in guaranteed the starting job either. I'm told that he's going to compete with Eric Schmidt for the starting punter position. Schmidt can do both. He can kick and punt. So yeah, thoughts on the kicker and the punting position? Like, do you think there's anything to read into, like, does Schmidt battling for punter mean they're going to bring in a kicker? Like, what are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts are, in a day and age where you're no longer capped at 85 scholarships and you have a roster that's as good as Notre Dame's potentially is for next year, you're silly if you don't go get a punter and a kicker, in my opinion. That's not anything against Eric Schmidt, but we saw this year Notre Dame's number one kicking option was injured most of the year. And so do you really want to say, well, we think Eric Schmidt not only is so good that he's not going to get injured, and then you have games that are decided by a field goal and you don't have a adequate kicker? I think the best thing, and it's Marcus Freeman's philosophy, is you have people compete. That makes them better. And I think Eric Schmidt needs to compete at both positions. I think minimally he'll be the kickoff guy, but he probably will win the kicking job, but we'll see. But yeah, I think when you have 95 scholarships and you can go up to 105 if you need to cover yourself. There's no spring portal to go shopping if somebody gets hurt. So you need to be have abundance at every position.
Yeah, it's wild because, like, Notre Dame signed the 27 players in signing day, and it's like, all right, you're done. Well, then you had Teddy Gerard, who'll officially sign in February, and it's my understanding that Scaife or Scafey did sign in December. I mean, this graphic says signed. The font may not be easy to read, but I promise you that's what it says. And that's what a source told me. So he's going to come in. I believe he's 21 years old with 4 years of eligibility. So now it's a 2026 class up to 2029 players. And to answer the question, no, adding the punter does not give Notre Dame the number one class in the country. I regret to inform you all, Notre Dame still has the number 2 class in the country. So talked about some portal departures. It's just going to be a matter of time before we start talking about portal incoming players.
Right.
Does Notre Dame go after a running back? Is there a kicker? You know, we would assume receivers, interior defensive linemen. Do they add 2 defensive backs? It's going to be an interesting portal window for general manager Mike Martin, head coach Marcus Freeman, and the rest of the staff. Folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the channel for more content. And as always, we will catch you next time.